we have the longest reigning light heavyweight champion in the WWE, Gillberg.
Yeah, baby. How you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing great, sir. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Glad to be talking to you two, that's for sure.
Awesome. Now, normally with our interviews, we kind of start by asking, how you got into the business or, who you trained with. I did a little bit of digging, and I noticed you started your training with Larry Sharp.
No. See, you don't know.
Really?
No. I started my training with Bad Boy Barry Hardy. Remember Barry Hardy? He was my tag team partner for like 15, 20 years. And what had happened was, see, Barry and I were friends when we were younger, right? And we used to always get together and party and build models. Like we'd take a model and cut it open and put 5 engines in it and jack it up and do all that stuff. You know what I mean? We had hot knives and everything. So, and I would always say, Barry, man, wrestling's on. Come on over and watch it. No, I ain't watching that fake shit, man. We can cuss, right?
You can cuss.
Okay. I ain't watching that fake shit, man. And I go, come on, man, come on. And then I'd go over and watch it. And this is no lie. He hated wrestling. So he got married and we kind of moved apart, right? So I didn't see him for a couple of years. So I'm watching wrestling one night with my wife and I go, hey, ain't that Barry, but bigger? Because he was all jacked, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, Barry Hardy across the screen, I went, son of a... I had my phone, man. I immediately called his mother because, I'm great friends with the family and everything, right? And she's like, hi, Dwayne, how you doing? She goes, he's home. That's pre-recorded. I said, really? She goes, yeah. So give me his number. So she gave me his number. I called him. He's like, dude, I have been looking for you for 2 years. I said, I just saw you on wrestling, you son of a, And he's like, yeah, I know. He said, I saw Hulk Hogan, man. I got Bill McCaffrey. There's a congressman down here called Bill McCaffrey. Well, Barry got his tickets one night, which were front row, right where they come out. And here comes Hulk Hogan. And Barry said he was like, and Hogan came out, and the electricity and the excitement and everything just got him. And he goes, my God, I got to do this. And he went to Larry Sharp. He trained at Larry Sharp and everything. And then he started doing jobs up WWF. Well, when I called him that night, he goes, dude, I've been looking for you for 2 years, man. He goes, where do you live? And I told him where I lived. He goes, Dwayne, you're a quarter mile from me. I said, what? He said, yeah. I drove down the street to his house that night. I started learning hip tosses, body slams, arm drags, and lockups on a concrete floor.
Ouch.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the honest truth. A month later, we bought a ring. Well, he bought a ring, and we had it in his basement. His basement was 21 by 21. The ring was 20 by 20. So if you hit the ropes a little hard,
you're hitting a wall.
Yep, and that was he called that place Beastmakers, and he started training me there, and that's where I learned how to wrestle. To be honest with you, Barry Hardy taught me everything I know about wrestling, and he took me to Larry Sharp.
Okay.
Which was the first. I mean, I knew Larry. I was the biggest mark in the name of the business, man, my whole entire life. Like if I was at the playground playing baseball and said it's 4:30, I'd drop the bat and would run home as fast as I could because I knew wrestling was coming on because it only came on Saturdays. And my father was sitting there with a bowl of popcorn ready to watch it with me every single Saturday. And we used to have standing reservations at the Eddie Graham Sports Arena in Florida. Second row, man, I watched Dusty Rhodes, Eddie Graham, all of them, man, when they all first started.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was a giant fan. And that's why today I never not sign an autograph. I don't take a picture. Yeah, I always take pictures with everybody because I know how many times I stood out back of arenas and waited for my star and never saw him. You know
Yeah.
Now, you know exactly, man, what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when Barry brought you over to Larry, Larry's been attributed to training some of the biggest names in the business. Were there any of the guys, the top guys that stood out that you personally trained with?
Yes. Okay. When I got there, Barry brought me up and said, Larry, I got a guy I trained. I want you to see him. I want him to go up and do jobs with me. Larry said, all right, bring him up, man. Well, luckily I was God gifted, and I did this thing that was mine and Barry's finish move. We called it Death from Above. Well, you know how you get slingshot in the ring, come in the hard way?
Mhm.
I could go all the way across the 20-foot ring, hang, and bounce out the other ropes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
when I got there, we started wrestling. Glenn Ruth was who I was wrestling.
okay.
Me and Glenn are going at it, man, and I mean, I was always a hard ass my whole life. I was a redneck, no lie about it. You know what I mean? And me and Glenn are just beating the hell out, chopping the hell out of each other. And then, he throws me in the ring, and we're wrestling, and tags Barry in, and Barry goes, "All right, let's do it, Dwayne." I go, "You got it, brother." So he throws me out of the ring, and I'm getting up on the apron, and he punches me. Well, when he punches me, I lean way back and lock my arms, and he goes as hard as he can, and that's when I go all the way over and everything. Well, just about that time, Larry Sharp comes walking out of the ring with, let's see if you know who this is, with the Soul Taker.
Soul Taker, the Soul Taker, the Soul Taker, the Soul Taker. I gotta look at
Come
that
on,
song.
brother. You got to know. It's one of
Soul
the biggest.
Taker, Soul Taker, Soul Taker.
Oh, he's Googling it. That's cheating.
I'm cheating. I have to. All right, you got to tell me. I'm not sure.
What do you want to call him? Papa Shango, Congo, Godfather? What do you want to call him, brother? And this is when he was 365, no fat. I was like, oh my God. Mary goes, "Yeah, you got to wrestle them guys too." I was like, oh, no way, brother. He had a mohawk and everything. Can you imagine how mean he looked? I mean, he was gigantic. The Godfather was one of the biggest men I ever seen. I ain't kidding you, man.
I know how mean he looked when he was Kanu Mustafa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so he Barry slingshotted me, and just as they were coming out the door, right? And I hit one out the other side, and Glenn and me start going. He goes, "No, stop. We're like, "Yes, sir." Now this is the first time seeing Larry, so I'm starstruck. And he's next to this freak, you know what I mean? I mean, the Godfather was a freak, dude. I ain't kidding you. I love Charles with all my heart, man. He's a great, great guy. He's one of my best friends in wrestling. I love him to death. But he was gigantic, man. And I was like, oh my God. And then he goes, "Oh, I don't believe I saw what I think I just saw. Can you do that again?" And we're like, "What? What?" And he said, "The way you came in the ring." So Barry and I go back over there, and me and Barry start doing a thing on the outside of the ring where he's punching me. I go, "No, stop. Come in the ring, no hard work." So Barry goes, "Ready?" I go, "Yup." Barry goes, "Bang!" I went, boom, hit, stood right up, I guess, on the ropes. I said, "Is that what you wanted to see?" He goes, "You can go, no problem." And Larry always told me, and I was lucky that I love Larry Sharp to death. You know what I mean? He was a great guy to me. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, Larry did this, Larry did that." Larry did what he did. You know what I mean? You know the wrestling world. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He was always awesome to me. I never did nothing but make money every time I was with Larry. So I can't say nothing bad about the guy. You know what I mean? And he did send me to WWF, brother.
Awesome.
And he's just, he always told me, he goes, "Dwayne, the way you bump, I don't think you're going to last long, because you bump so good." And he always told me, "Shave your head, you'll get a job. Shave your head, you'll get a job. Shave." No, I ain't shaving, man. But remember, I had long locks. You know what I mean?
I do.
I ain't shaving that. I shaved my head. Remember, I was gone for a long time. I shaved my head. I come up and I do Survivor Series. What happens? I get a job.
Yeah.
That's 15 years he told me that. I never did it. I finally did it. Went up there, got a job.
It seems over the course of history, Vince kind of has a thing for bald-headed people.
I didn't know it. I was there 15 years ago. You might have been Austin, dude, because it was before Austin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He goes, "You might have been Austin." I was like, "God dang, man." Because he goes, "Look, because Steve Austin and I, if I shave my eyebrows, buddy, we used to sit and watch monitor and then look at each other and go, 'Oh, dude, you got to move, man. You got to.'" Yeah. Because, think about it. Gillberg, what did I wear? Black tights.
Yeah, just.
We're sitting there and it's like, Oh man, come on. And then we had to feel like, oh, look at mini me. You know what I'm saying?
That takes out one of my questions, actually. So while you were in the WWF, a lot of the times you went by, your real name, Dwayne Gill. And you wrestled, before the whole Gillberg thing, you wrestled pretty much everybody that was a name in the WWF.
Yes, I wrestled the first 2 years of Monday Night Raw every single week.
Yeah.
Every week. Never. If I wasn't Dwayne Gill, I was the Executioner.
Mm-hmm. And
Barry and I were the Executioners.
And there's some little things that like stuck out to me. You've talked about in interviews being the Toxic Turtles. I remember when Jerry the King Lawler used to come out on that pedestal thing.
I dropped him.
You were one of the guys.
I'm the one who dropped. Remember D'Lo?
Yes, D'Lo, a very young D'Lo.
Looking like that in the camera now.
Yeah, he was very young at that time, and he was in the middle of like doing a really big weight loss. So he was actually a lot bigger than what people remember seeing him when he first came in.
D'Lo was chubby. D'Lo was chubby.
Yeah.
D'Lo was a chubby guy when he started.
So my question is, you've worked with so many, big names, guys in the WWE Hall of Fame. Was there anyone in particular that you like to work with?
Oh, Taker.
Yeah.
I love working with Taker. Oh my God, the Steiners, Smoking Guns. We always had a blast. The Bushwhackers. My God, man, I was on the road for 6 months with the Bushwhackers, me and Barry, and there was never a night I wasn't laughing so damn hard. I was so glad I had the mask on because I was laughing so hard in the ring. It was unbelievable.
I feel like,
and the head shrinkers. I can't lie to you, man. It was Barb and Junior Fatu. Them guys taught us so much. The Samoans, they really do. They are the first family of wrestling, and they really do deserve it. They, as big and mean as they are, their hearts are bigger.
Right, and I feel like you hear a lot, with the first Samoan wrestling family and The Undertaker, like you were saying, a lot of those guys, they're bigger guys, but from, what I hear, they're some of the safest guys to work in the ring with.
You don't know. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. What was that? What was that? It didn't hurt. You know what I mean?
Right.
They are the lightest and the kindest. They really are the kindest and gentlest people. You just, because of their wrestling persona, you would never believe what they're really like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We actually just worked with Randy Hogan recently. He was a talent enhancement, WCW, a little bit in WWF. He was there, I think.
Exactly who you're talking about.
One of the things that he brought up, I'm actually wearing one of his shirts. One of the things he actually brought up was when he was in World Championship Wrestling, as a talent enhancement, a lot of the guys requested to work with him because of how he was in the ring. Did you, when you were going through being a talent enhancement, did any of the big guys request to work with you in a match on Raw or on Superstars or anything like that?
Okay, I don't mean to blow my own whistle or whatever. Barry and I, every tag team that came up here for a tryout and had a chance on making it, can we wrestle Gill and Hardy? Can we wrestle Gill and Hardy? Any singles, I want Gill or I want Hardy. I want Gill or I want Hardy. I want Gill or I want Hardy. There were several times teams went out and had a match with people, especially the Road Warriors, and come back in and go, where the hell is Gill and Hardy? I got to go to hell back out there and have another match. This is ridiculous. If you remember, we're the first ones ever to attack the Road Warriors. Remember that? I was sitting there. I said, guys, we're getting ready to go for a match. I said, guys, can I ask you something? They're like, what? And I go, in real life now, you two are freaks, man. You're monsters. If I'm going to fight you in any way and you turn your back to hand them out, your shoulder pads, I'm taking that opportunity because that's probably the only shots I'm going to get. And they're like, listen to little brother over here, man. Barry's like, oh my God, we're dead. And, because I'm trying to call a match against the Road Warriors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, come on, man, let's be for real. And they're like, what do you got? And I said, well, what happens is we'll come over, we'll start beating on you. You don't really have to sell. We'll turn you around like we're going to whip you off. You guys go to whip it. We'll, go to the middle of the ring, reverse it, whip us off. When we hit, you come back, you double press us. And they're like, okay, that sounds good. I said, but Hawk, you get Barry the Arn Anderson in the corner. Remember how they used to dive into the corner, so like pressing me? I said, Animal, you walk over to the end of the ring, right by the ropes like this, and just go and drop me outside the ring. He goes, man, I can't do that. It's like 15 feet. And I said, I want you to do it. He said, we got to talk to Vince. So they wanted to talk to Vince. Vince called us into the office. Ross standing there. He said, did you guys sign your releases? I said, yes, sir, Mr. McMahon. Every time I come up, he goes, drop them.
Sounds about right. As long as the paperwork's signed, he doesn't care.
Drop them.
Oh, wow.
But I tell you what, man, that was if you could have heard the pop that they got from that, my God. And then I told Animal, I still remember the first time we wrestled him, I said, look, power slam me. He goes, why? I said, just give me the power slam. He goes, what's wrong with him? I said, Animal, give me the power slam, please, brother. I've watched you guys for years. I know everything you do. Give me the power slam. And Barry looks over and goes, Animal, give him the power slam. And it's the God's honest truth. He whipped me in one power slam when I hit, and he went to press me. He went, and he was like this, and his fingers were all the way up, and he was just barely touching me, and he caught me on the way down. And when he hit, he bounced right up into a stand like this, and he went, ah! We got in the back, man. He goes, what a freaking power slam, man. I said, I know my job, man. That's the whole thing. People used to ask me, why do you go up there and why do you do jobs? I don't know if either one of you are wrestlers, but this is my philosophy. First off, marks aren't the fans. Okay? Marks are the wrestlers. Because if you think about what a mark is, we are such big marks that we said, I don't give a shit how bad it hurts. I don't care what bones I break, what muscles I tear. I'm getting in that ring. Smart people say, I'm going to pay $10 and I'm going to watch these guys kill themselves. Who's the mark?
Exactly.
That's an interesting.
Who's the mark?
Yeah.
And we get in there, we'll drive. I'll spend $450 to get to a place, make $400,
and then go back. Yeah.
Spend another $300 to get back home.
It sounds to me like it was,
come on, man.
It sounds to me like it was worth it in the long run, because the way you're describing all these guys deciding they wanted to work with you and Barry, you guys kind of seemed like you were the gatekeepers.
I was about to say. They would ask me, why do you do that? And I'd said, I want to be a wrestler. Mm-hmm. I want to be the best freaking wrestler I could possibly be. Where better to be the best wrestler is learning from the very best in the business, in the biggest and best organization ever, and you're there doing it. Now, do you think it was just like you walked in and said, if you're there early and they're out in the ring goofing around, they'll be like, hey, man, come on in here. I want to, and you're in there and you're learning from them. Now you're learning from the best in the business. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I couldn't have got to where I was without doing, man, what I did. I just don't think, I made it to 240, you know what I mean? And I was pretty big, but I wasn't, I wasn't marketable. Gillberg is marketable because that's me. I love being funny. I love making people laugh. I love making people happy, especially kids, Yeah.
And speaking of the whole Gillberg thing, I don't know if people actually remember, but when you defeated Christian for the light heavyweight championship, you weren't Gillberg at the time. You were Dwayne Gill. And the job
Gill is the longest reigning light heavyweight champion, not Gillberg.
Yeah.
Let's get that straight right now. And it's in their stuff. Now, I'll show you another piece of history. If you go back to WWF, and WWE, and go to singles, Longest reigning champions, I'm 8th.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
8th on the
And
list.
I never had a shirt, never had a doll.
Well, that was actually one of my questions because I'm a figure collector. As you can see, we're at my Hasbro bar.
Yep.
Was there ever did Vince
I did all the stuff. I mean, all the turns, everything. They took hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures in the same, position, everything. Everything was set up. It just stopped. And somebody's got a thumb on me, man. Won't let it happen.
Yeah. I was going to ask if there was a reason why we haven't seen, an action figure or, elite figure or anything like that.
I was at WrestleMania. Remember the gimmick battle royal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm standing 10, 9, 8. I'm getting ready to go out. Bruce Prichard stands in front of me and says, Dwayne, you can't go. I'm like, yeah, right, Bruce. I said, it's WrestleMania. I don't give a, excuse my French, I don't give a I'm going to push you out of the way and I'm going. And he goes, man, please don't. And I said, you're serious, aren't you? He goes, yeah. And then it went 2, 1. Now, earthquake and typhoon were going to let me, when I come in, they were going to grab me and whip me into the ropes. I was going to come back, double clothesline, both of them over the top. The Anvil was going to let me throw him out. Man, everybody's going to let me clear the ring. And then that's how Sheik was going to win because I was going to go, and he throw me out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch the gimmick battle royal, when that last guy's supposed to come out, they'll come out, you'll see him going. Start going out.
Oh, was there a reason?
And Bruce said, if you go out there, you'll not only lose your job, but I'll lose mine. And I said, really? They'll fire you, Bruce? And he said, they sent me here to stop you. What do you think will happen?
Now, do you know?
I put my arm around him. I said, I ain't costing you your job, brother.
Yeah.
Do you know why they made that decision such last second?
Goldberg was coming in.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something? I've been making fun of him for years. Can you tell me who's got it and says, I don't want him to ever have a shirt or a doll? I'm just saying, I don't know.
But that's the only one that would really make sense, though.
Yeah, And my book is done. I'll be honest with you. I'm just waiting for enough money to have it printed.
All right, cool.
And I'm doing it in a 2-book thing. I'm doing all the way from childhood to Gillberg, then Gillberg.
Okay.
Now, since we're on
be Gillberg.
Right. Now, since we're on the topic of Gillberg, how did Gillberg as a persona become, what translated onto our TV screens? How did, behind the scenes, how did that happen?
I was doing it on the Independents. I was making fun of all the boys. I did the Underfaker. I did Stone Old Steve Boston. I took pool swimmies and made big giant braces and everything and walked out with a walker and all. Hey! Did all that stuff, and I did Gillberg. Mm-hmm. Well, when I got the job as Dwayne Gill, I was doing a house show with and Kane was on it with Paul Bear and everything. And we're standing there, we're bull crapping in the hallway, and we're talking about everything. And I said, yeah, I was making fun of all the boys, man. I said, I would have did a Kane. I said, don't worry about that, brother. And they're like, yeah, what else? I said, and I did Gillberg, and Paul Bear went, Gillberg? Oh, Dwayne Gill, I think you've got something there, boy. You know what I mean? I went, huh? And I said, I blew it off. You know what I mean? 3 days later, I get a phone call from the office. So we hear you do Gillberg. Yes, ma'am. Well, you're now Gillberg. Well, I ain't losing my title. I don't want to lose my title. Oh, no, that's the beauty of it. I said, what's that? He said, we've already thought of that. You are a light heavyweight champion. Yep. You always lose to heavyweights. No problem.
Yeah.
And then I started beating them.
Yeah. Yeah, because one of the things I had noticed was you retired Mark Marrow. I remember that. You held wins over guys like Matt Hardy and Goldust, and you beat Christian for the title. And speaking of that, after you won, like you had spent quite a few years in WWF already at that time, from the early 90s to now it's like 98. When you won the belt, and what happened when you went back to Vince McMahon, because Vince in the long
You want the truth?
Yeah. Yeah.
First off, if you remember, when they handed me the belt, I went, yeah! And I held it up backwards.
I remember that, yeah.
Okay? And then I walked in the back, did my spiel on the way up there, and the greatest thing, since the birth of my son and all that, and got in the back. Tony Gurria and Renee and all of them are laughing their asses off. And they're going, hey, man, you all right? I said, yeah, why? And they said, you ought to give that belt back because obviously you have no idea what the hell you're doing with it. And they're laughing and everything. And I went right straight to Vince's office. Knocked on the door. And I swear to God, and I'm getting choked up right now with tears in my eyes. I was crying. I said, Vince, thank you. Thank you so much. You have no idea what you did. And he said, Dwayne, thank you for all your years. Go have fun, brother.
That's incredible.
Wow. That's Vince McMahon. That's Vince McMahon. When I was a jobber up there, my third year up there, he come up, talked to me. Yeah, a couple of times me and Barry had bumped into him and had breakfast and stuff. We were, hey, mind if I sit down? Oh, no problem, Mr. McMahon. Always Mr. McMahon. I have never, ever called him Vince. Right? My third or fourth year up there, he comes up and he's talking to me, I'm in the locker room. He says, so how's Lillian? Little Dwayne, you just had a son, didn't you? Yeah, your daughter's like 9 now. And I'm like, Mr. McMahon, how do you know that? And he goes, Dwayne, that's my job. And I went, awesome. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
I've sent him a Christmas card almost every year and everything. Yeah.
I guess that's the side of Vince McMahon that you really don't see.
He is, in all honesty, he plays the asshole because he is such a nice guy. I know there's rumors out there and this and that and that and this. I was up there 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw. I mean, he's been a boss,
right?
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the only way I can figure an asshole is this. You're working there, you're there 3, 4, 5 years, you're making $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million a year. Along comes a young guy who looks really good, and the fans are going nuts over, and he says, 50,000, 2 million. Saying a little more reaction. Brother, I gotta let you go. You asshole. You asshole. What a prick, man. What a son of a... I mean, that's my philosophy of it. I've never seen him do nothing stupid, but I've never been the millionaire guy. Okay?
Right.
So I don't know what goes on in that era. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, he's always been nice. Always. Always. All the McMahon. Stephanie. Triple H is so cool. I remember when he came in. I was jobbing up there when he came in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when Taker came in. We were sitting there, man, one day, and he's looking through papers, and I'm like, "Hey, Mark, how's it going?" He said, "Hey, Dwayne, how you doing?" I said, "What are you doing up here?" He said, "He got me doing some dead man thing or not."
Some dead man.
I swear to God.
That's awesome. Earlier, you talked about being 8th on the all-time list for belt reigns. How does it feel to be in that top 10?
Oh my God, dude! Listen, I mean, Bruno Sammartino,
yeah,
Brock Lesnar. Matter of fact, if you remember when Brock Lesnar just did that long reign, he said he just beat Gillberg's record.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that to make him 7th. He just beat Goldberg's record to make him 7th of all time. Yeah.
Oh,
I'll be honest with you. Here you go. You asked how it is. I swear to God, I have a guy begging me to do a tell-all book. Because I guarantee you, now I'm broke, all right? I live paycheck to paycheck. I work every day. I'm a normal guy, okay?
Right.
I guarantee you, I'll write you a check for $500,000. You know what I told him? The respect of them boys means more to me than all the money in the world. I said, you don't know. You have no idea, no inclination. Kiss my ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's told me hundreds of times, but he does it to all wrestlers.
Right. Yeah.
A tell-all book. Once I get the dirt. Once I get the dirt. Once I get the dirt. Kiss my ass, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the good thing is here, we're not about the dirt. We're about the fun parts of wrestling.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I'm just
We
saying.
just like
man.
to hear about the fun stories.
So
Not
what you were saying was, how does it feel? It's the greatest feeling in the world, man. It really is. I mean, I'm a little kid that's looking up there, seeing Bruno Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko and you know what I mean, Pedro Morales and all of them. I'm watching them wrestle, Dusty Rhodes, all that shit. My name is in their line.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on. I had 15 minutes of fame, even though they had years and years. I had my 15, and you know, I feel Vince kind of said thank you by letting me have that run. You know what I mean? For all the years, you know, just putting the boys over.
Yeah.
I love just going out there and why did I become a wrestler? To wrestle in the WWF on TV.
Yeah.
What did I do?
can't get much better than that.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
wrestled in the WWF on TV. Now, if you listen to what I said at the beginning, how long did I wrestle before I got on WWF?
Wasn't that long, was it? It was only.
What did I say?
You trained with Barry,
Hardy.
and then went to Larry, and then Larry got you right on TV, basically. You were like right there.
Get my ass beat.
Yeah.
Get my ass beat.
Now, speaking of that run that you had, I'd like to fast forward a little bit. 2017, the return of Gillberg, Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens. How did that come about? What was it like being back with the boys? How did that whole entire situation go for you?
It was great. It was great. They just called me. I said, hey, we need you up here. I said, okay, I'm on my way. What'd you need? And then, of course, now it isn't like before. Okay, I'm on my way. Oh, well, wait a minute. You got to get a blood test. You got to get an AIDS test. You got to get this test. You got to get that test. You got to get this test. You want me in 3 days, and I got to get a month's worth of tests done.
Right.
So I called my doctor. He said, come on down, Dwayne. Literally stayed open late. We did all the tests, everything. He ran everything. Sent it right to him the next day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right, come on in. They sent me my tickets and everything. I went on in, did the deal. And the funny part is I told Chris, I said, I'm sorry, Kevin Owens. I said, Kevin, I'm going through that monitor. You know, the monitors on the side of the ring? Mm-hmm. He said, I don't think so. I said, you don't know me, man. He said, hey, you don't know that monitor. Well, I come out. He grabbed me, boom, boom, boom. Whipped me into that monitor. And if you look, I'm like 10 feet from it. And I dove as hard as I could. Mm-hmm. Smack. It didn't move, man. I had a big strawberry right here. You couldn't hear it, but when I hit, I rolled over. He went, I told you. And walked in my stomach and stepped in. You know what I mean?
It's crazy, too, because I was watching that Monday Night Raw live. I believe, actually, with Lee. Yeah. And when you came out, no joke, I marked harder than when Goldberg returned.
Dude. And them people were really hollering at. That wasn't tight to, fed in.
Yeah. No, we were genuinely excited to see you.
All right, there you go. There's another thing. They made a complete festival of friends.
Mm-hmm.
What we said. Where's Gillberg? Where's Gillberg?
Yeah.
Right.
They made to complete the ring, the pictures, the everything, man. Everything. Where's Gillberg?
Yeah. Yeah, there really should be a Gillberg figure.
Yeah, just for that alone.
You know what it is? It's a millionaire going, no.
Yeah.
If they let that thaw happen, I'd make me $100,000 probably, man, and I could retire.
Right.
You would have. If they would have let you have a shirt,
least, anyway.
If they would have let you have a shirt, because look at James Ellsworth when they gave him his first shirt, he was the #1 selling shirt on WWEshop.com.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a prime example. That would have been you.
For that kid, boy, was that awesome or what?
That was insane, and I think for a lot of us, it actually gave us, it drawed similarities and reminded us of, your career. And, people draw a lot of similarities between the two of you and how your careers went. What was it like meeting James Ellsworth and having your final match with
I've known James Ellsworth since the day he was born.
Really?
I went to school with his uncle and his mother. I know his whole family very, very, very well. And that's the truth. The story he told on Rides With when he was in elementary school and I was doing jobs. I was there working for the Board of Education. When I did a job, I'd come to work the next day and I'm in the hallway fixing a light. And he said, "Excuse me, Mr. Dwayne." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Aren't you a famous wrestler?" And I got down off the ladder. I said, "Yeah, James, I am." And he said, "Well, why are you working here?" I put my arm around him. I said, "Son, one day you'll know." He told Daniel Bryan, he goes, "My God, I didn't know I was going to know this way." Firsthand,
Right.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He is a good kid, man. And a father, I mean, tell you, he loves his kids. Really good dad. Really good kid.
I've interviewed James twice, and he looks at you as like a father figure, he said in one of the interviews. And when he came off from WWE on the independent scene, you guys formed a tag team together.
Oh, yeah, man. Won the title and all, man.
Yeah. So what was it, here it is, like you've known him since basically birth. What was it like now tag teaming with him?
It was awesome. It was awesome, man. We had so much fun doing it and everything. Then we turned it into I was wrestling him.
Yeah, and that was actually my next question. In my last interview with him last November, we talked about the retirement match that you guys had and how about it came up. I know his version. How did you decide that you wanted your last in-ring match to be against James Ellsworth?
I told him, I said, my kids and my wife really, really, really want me to retire wrestling. They don't care if I referee, if I do whatever, but no more wrestling matches. Because they saw the wrestler. And they're like, "Dad, that's you. You're going to die in the ring." I know it. I mean, crying their eyes out. So I had to retire. I told him I wanted to retire. He said, "I'll tell you what, Dwayne. Let's have it at Michael's where you started wrestling in Maryland." He said, "Let's do that. We'll get it, man. We'll have a great show. We'll do everything for you, man. Just figure out who you want to wrestle, all right? You name them, I'll pay for it." He said, "I got a little bit of money." He said, "I'll pay for it." He said, "I'll make it back on the show." I said, "Okay. How about you?" He goes, "Yeah, right." And I said, "No, serious, man. I want to wrestle you." He's like, "Wow, really?" I said, "Yeah. Yeah, man, we had a great match." And we did like the Shawn Michaels thing with Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "No, I don't love you, and no, I'm not sorry." But he did do the job for me. He did the job for me. Yes, he did, and let me win. And actually, we did it in his league, ACW, and we did it for the light heavyweight title, and I still had the belt. He gave me the belt and everything.
I've held the light heavyweight championship in Syracuse, New York, your personal one that you won from WWF. And I'm not going to lie, that thing's pretty heavy. For a lightweight championship, that belt's got some weight to it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the 10 pounds of gold.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
When when the match was over and everything, and I remember watching, the crowd, cheering for you and everything. What was it like to that being your last match and how the crowd reaction and everything?
Oh my God, man. It was unreal. Did you see it? I mean, did you see?
I watched it on YouTube.
Oh my God. The crowd stayed for 25 minutes afterwards going, thank you, Gillberg.
Yeah.
And wrestlers were jumping in the ring that I had started with. You know, Agent Orange, Bob Starr, all of them were coming in. I'm like, oh my God, look at this stuff, man. You know, and they were all giving me hugs saying thank you and all that. And that means the world to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the highest honor I got was the only person I've ever heard called this was Pops, was Alpha. The only person I've ever heard called Pops, who is, to me, one of the greatest people that's ever stepped in a ring. And when I had Gillbergs to school, all the wrestlers called me Pops. And these are wrestlers that wrestled in what's the XPW? Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
The one for the one that they run out of PA?
Yeah. I don't want to get it wrong.
Doing his research.
That's right. Google that, please.
You're gonna have to get your phone out too and look. I want to say that's what
Look
it is.
Look for Samoan's Training Center, and it should say exactly, the name of WXW. That's what it is. I'm almost.
Yep, WXW.
Yep, WXW. Yeah. I remember I wrestled Little Alpha, when he was 16.
Oh, wow.
And I played a prank on him, man. They come out and drug me out of the ring and all. I was knocked out. He was upset as hell. He come in the locker room and say, hey, what's up, brother? Yeah.
One question. I'm sorry. One question I'd like to ask is, anyone who's been around during this time in WWF, any Owen Hart rib stories?
Yes. I can tell you one. We were wrestling the Smoking Guns on the B tour.
Mm-hmm.
And Barry and I are wrestling as the Executioners. So we started out second match. Then we went to third, fourth, fifth. Then we got to be main event on the B tour because we were wrestling so long. They were scooting us up and the boys were leaving. Well, Owen's like, all right, you son of bitches, man. I'll tell you what, you're hogging up the big money now. Okay, all right, I got you. I come back in, take a shower and everything. We get out. I'm like, we're getting dressed. And I'm like, ain't nobody around. What's going on? So I get dressed. I reach under, slide my shoes out. Full of water and ice. I was like, oh. So, of course, you got to put your boots on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Walk into the hotel. Hey, look, that's one of them there wrestlers. It's Owen Hart. That's one of them there wrestlers right there. Look at how you can tell by his shiny little boots on there.
Oh, no.
Oh, man, thanks a lot. Yeah, Owen's a good guy. He really was, man. That was. He would have been. I'm predicting probably the greatest wrestler of all time. I'm serious. He would have still been champion.
Oh, he was always one of my favorites, and that's a question I like to ask.
Dude, he was awesome. He really was.
Yeah, and that's a question I always like to ask anyone who had been around him, especially for me being a fan of his.
Anybody who says something bad about him is an asshole, and he was being treated as such. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because Owen was the nicest guy in the world, and I was just Joey Jobber. You know what I mean? He always treated me and Barry so good. Yeah, no. Everybody up there was the greatest. They really were. That's what I say about now and then. It was a family, man. Everybody was so nice and close and tight. Now, man, you fart up there, they're running. Hey, he farted. It stunk. I think he should be fired.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's bad, man.
You spoke about your book a little earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and you're waiting for print and everything. where can fans find you on social media to keep up to date with that and to keep up to date with any appearances that you have that are, hopefully going to happen when this whole COVID thing ends?
Well, on Twitter, I'm under Dwayne Gill 3. You say the real Gillberg, you'll see it. Messenger me, Facebook, send an invite. I'll gladly. I accept everybody. I don't worry about it.
I say I'm actually friends with you on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I love it. The only thing I'm going to miss this year is football.
Yeah.
Oh, tell me about it. I don't want to talk about it.
No.
Leave it alone.
At the rate they're going, there could be no baseball because a couple of baseball players have tested positive for COVID now, and
they've already canceled preseason for
football. Yeah, it's a downer. We have wrestling still going on though, and there's
thank God that started back up.
Yeah, heck
right.
Yeah. Your last question.
Yeah, my last question for you, and I know you spoke about how your family, said they wanted you to be done with wrestling, but I know there's certain situations where you never say never. Some of the big names like Christian, Matt Hardy, Goldust that you have beaten in the past, they've all seen career resurgences as of recently. Is that ever a thing we're going to see for you, or are you?
I swear to God, if I could get a career resurgence, I would definitely. If you notice, I work out every day. I am ripped to shreds, brother.
Look a lot better than me.
No, I do. I weigh 200 pounds, and I work out every day of my life.
I can see the big vein in your shoulder down to your bicep.
Right.
Yeah.
The Bergman's a lot different than he used to be.
Right.
I really do look like a mini Goldberg now.